Hey everybody, Tony Johnson here, your customer experience leader. It is 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means it is time, folks, for the great service comeback. So, I had some friends who got on a plane and came down here to Central Florida to see me. And, there was something that they told me that rang true, and I want to kind of share it with you as a cautionary tale. So, they got on the airplane, they came down, they flew one of the bargain airlines, and they actually noticed that there was no social distancing going on. These folks actually had people in the center seats. And if you remember, not 2 weeks ago, most airlines actually committed to say, you know what, we are going to keep the center seats open. We are going to load back to front. We are going to do everything we can as we reopen America to keep everybody safe. And that was a big commitment they made. But if you were watching any kind of news late last week, early this week, you probably heard about the United Airlines flight coming out of New York, where folks were actually working with coronavirus folks, and most of them were medical people. And as they came, they were loaded in there. They were all seats were full to all the reports I heard. Same thing I heard from the folks who came down to see us here in Florida on the discount airlines. Most of the seats were full. Center seats were not left open. And I think that is a real miss there. So I want you to think about that. Have you made commitments based on where we are with social distancing, with reopening America, with thinking about how business is going to be different going forward? What commitments did you make, and are you living up to them? I was actually at a hotel this past weekend. We went ahead and jumped out and said, you know what, let's go over to Reddington Beach and actually enjoy a couple of days over there and enjoy the surf and the sand and get back out. Because here in Florida, we've taken some kind of amazing steps. Hair salons and nail salons were allowed to reopen this week, except for in a couple of areas. Hotels are kind of running at about 50% occupancy, I've noticed. Restaurants at about 25%. And I think, I noticed that in the hotel that I stayed at, coffee makers were still in the rooms, and a lot of hotel chains have said, you know what, we're going to pull those out because we're not sure how we're going to keep them sanitized. So, there are some misses I'm seeing out there. So please absolutely think about the commitments that you have made to your guests, to your customers, to your consumers, to your employees, and make sure that you're living up to those, because otherwise you're going to be seen as someone who is, taking every opportunity to sound amazing when the sound bites matter, but then not living up to it in real life. And that does not smack of genuine authenticity that people really want to see out there in the service marketplace. So don't blow this great chance to live up to the promises that you made. Now, that said, this leads really well into another thing that I want you to keep your eyes on. Shanghai Disney opened this week. And remember, they were sort of ground zero, if you will. So they've been closed for 4 months. 4 months. They closed in January. And so they are just now getting reopened. And there are some pretty stringent guidelines in place there. They've got social distancing. They're using technology for their queues. They are at 30%, I believe. Yeah, 30%. 80,000 people is the rough, kind of max occupancy of Shanghai Disney. They're operating at 30% of that right now. And again, every guest that comes through the turnstiles, both employees and guests, have to wear face masks and have a temperature check to get in. And the technology that's being used for the temperature check is all virtual, so it's kind of like that facial recognition piece. So they're literally not walking up and like zapping you with a gun. There's a whole piece of technology working on that. So that's pretty outstanding, and I think a great opportunity for folks to learn what's really working out there. Also, keep a very close eye. The Walt Disney World Resort is reopening Disney Springs to some extent on May 20th, and they'll have some social distancing, some max occupancy, I think 25% to 50% at that point. But there's a lot of things that they'll be doing to really make sure that they're keeping people safe. But again, as these juggernauts open up, we can actually learn quite a bit from them. Now, this week, I want to start off by talking about keeping things nipped and tucked. So, when we started the whole, retail piece under social distancing, a lot of folks had to do things like put directional signage. A lot of grocery stores, kind of one-way streets up and down the aisles. So, what do those look like? What are your sneeze guards? What are the face shields? The big plexiglass things people put up in front of their cashiers and employees. What do those look like? Because if you think about your cleaning schedule, probably in your business, my guess is it's not on there yet. So, after 6 weeks of having face shields up, after having directional signage up, having signage and posting and placards all over the place, what do they look like? Is it time for a refresh? Do they need to be cleaned? Do they need to be dusted? Do they need to be replaced at this point? Are they dog-eared and gross? And what is going to be permanent in your business now based on where you are in the new normal. So for example, the grocery store chain I frequent here in Florida, at one point they literally had painters tape blue arrows going up and down the aisles onto which way you should go if you were going to get your, your frozen pizza or your brown sugar or whatever that was. And now they've actually gone to these more permanent signs, more permanent pieces on the floors in front of each aisle to remind folks wrong way or go this way. And I think, by the looks of things, they're seeing this as being a long-term change in the way people shop. And so they've become more permanent. They're basically adhered to the floor. They look really nice. But again, people have to think about how they keep those clean. How long will they last? When do they need to be replaced? And what in your business was indeed a great idea to get through the coronavirus outbreak that you're thinking, you know what, we got to keep this going now from now on, because it is definitely going to be something that is a part of our new service model. The other thing is, when you think about masks, if you're going to require masks, as you go into your business, are you going to provide them? And there's no right or wrong answer there, but you need to think about it. For example, when we were on vacation with some friends, just yesterday, one of my buddies wanted a hat because he had, if you've ever gone to the beach with somebody and they have absolutely just, grenaded themselves. This guy was so purple. He was burnt like to a crisp off the beach. And he's like, you know what? I need a hat. And he walked across the street to this big old surf shop, but they required a mask to walk in, but they weren't providing him. So you know what? He had to walk out. He didn't buy the mask, or he didn't buy the hat because he didn't have a mask with him. And so he went to the hotel and bought an overpriced ball cap there. But I will tell you, he needed it. He was going to pay it. He probably actually would have paid more for a much nicer hat, but he couldn't get in the front door. So if they could have provided a disposable, cheap old mask to get somebody in the front door, would they have been able to then, nail a $25 or $30 or $50 sale for whatever it costs for a disposable mask? I don't know, but you should really be thinking about those kind of things, because these are going to be situations you are going to come up against at all times. So airlines and retail establishments, big old, festivals and concerts, if someone shows up without a mask and you require it, are you going to stick to your guns? Are you going to send them away? Are you going to provide masks if they don't have them? Again, there's no right or wrong answer, but you have to know what you're going to do, and your policies have to be crystal, and I mean absolutely crystal clear for both guests and frontline associates, so that it leaves nothing to chance. So that's what I want you to do today. I want you to think about what is in your business that needs to be cleaned, dusted, or refreshed, and then what is there that may have once been temporary, but now is going to become permanent as a part of your new operational standards. And then get them in your cleaning schedule, put someone in charge of taking care of them so that they always look top shelf, because those little details, they're going to make a huge difference to your customers as they come in. Because remember, sanitized and safe is the new clean, and it is price of entry. It is not a nice to have. It is not a differentiator. This is stuff you must execute upon if you are going to deliver even at a base entry level. And if you need help, if you have questions, if you have thoughts, if you need a little bit of assistance, reach out to me. I am here for you. You can go to igniteyourservice.com/comeback or send me a note at tony@igniteyourservice.com. I'm here to help. I have done this for decades, helping folks manage and lead and be profitable and grow during adversity, and I'll share it all with you. So please reach out. We can absolutely work together. Until next time, I'm Tony Johnson, your customer experience leader. Please like and share and subscribe so you never miss a video, and I will see you right here tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for tuning in.